Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we're going to be talking about that damn Ben Simmons. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, for those of you who are maybe newer on this channel, I want to quickly give you guys a refresher on my opinion about Ben Simmons. It dates all the way back to the fiasco that took place with the Philadelphia 76ers. We all know the story. He refused to show up essentially because he felt like his team and his coach, Doc Rivers at the time, basically threw him under the bus. Remember that? And then it just turned into a fiasco. He ultimately ended up being traded to the Brooklyn Nets in a swap for him and James Harden straight up. They got the two of the, so they ended up changing jerseys, and then we thought he was going to return to Brooklyn during the playoffs. He said he was close, and all of a sudden he got shut down, and we heard he had back issues. Came back this season, and Ben Simmons thus far has been a disappointment. And I'm not just saying that because, I don't like Ben Simmons. No, there's actual data, empirical data that we can point to that shows this. One of the biggest criticisms of Ben Simmons, at least for me, over the last few years, is that I've been noticing a regression in his production, right? His numbers have been going down every single year, and it's gotten to the point where now a lot of people out there who are Ben Simmons supporters have found a way to kind of reimagine what a basketball player is supposed to be when it comes to Ben Simmons. Now, let's relate this to yesterday. Yesterday, as you know, there was a marquee game on NBA on TNT between the Brooklyn Nets, who are without Kevin Durant, facing against the Boston Celtics, who, if I'm not mistaken, are the number one team in the Eastern Conference, and I think they have the number one overall record in the NBA. However, I could be wrong about that, but I know that they're the number one team in the Eastern Conference with a 31-12 record, and they have the best overall record in the NBA. So going into that game yesterday, the Boston Celtics were also going to be shorthanded because they didn't have Al Horford and they didn't have one Jaylen Brown. Now, what's been the outlook on the Brooklyn Nets since the news that Kevin Durant was going to miss some time? The outlook has simply been this. The three best players on the Brooklyn Nets are the following: Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons, in that order. So most out there were basically saying, in the absence of Kevin Durant, we are expecting Ben Simmons to do what he already does, which is rebound the ball, play defense, make for his team. But we're also looking for him to become more aggressive on the offensive side of the floor. Why? Because number one, you're losing 30 PPG, and you're going to need somebody to fill the void and also be a threat on the court. So defenses just don't key in on Kyrie Irving. This is very basic, basketball, strategy here. And yesterday, Ben Simmons went out there and basically laid an egg. In the game, I think he played a total of 26 minutes, and in 26 minutes, he only attempted 3 shots. And I think he scored, if I'm not mistaken, to be 100% precise. He finished the game with 0 points. In the aftermath of that, they decided to discuss it on NBA on TNT, and Charles Barkley and Shaq gave a clear and honest critique of Ben Simmons. So for those of you who missed their comments on Ben Simmons, we want to play it for you now, and then we're going to come back and react to it. So take a listen to what they had to say there.
Do you feel more pressure to score without Kevin on the floor?
I wouldn't call it pressure. I just think it's something I need to do.
He did have a streak of like 6 straight double-digit games about a month ago, but now...
Well, Reggie said it during the game. His numbers should go up without Kevin Durant. He's the second best player on the team. He cannot score. That's hard to do, Ernie.
When you're touted
twice in his career, both this season.
I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah. When you're touted as a great player, see, Kenny's sticking up for him. When you're touted as a great player, you have to do it all. Yes, he had the assist and the rebound, but you have the ability to score. We need you to be aggressive. He's not even looking at the basket. I need you. Kevin's not there. I need 12, 14, 16 points. I need you to be aggressive and score. You get the ball, the high percentage shot, fast break, go for the layup, good foul, hit 1, hit 2 free throw, but I need you to at least act like you want to score. Well, not even looking at the basket right now.
Yeah, I think he could. I think he does a lot of things great. Even in that game, he did a lot of things great. The one thing, glaring thing is You're going to need more baskets. And I think everyone says, be more aggressive. Or I have to be more aggressive. What does that actually mean? Like, what is the real term of that? You're going to come down and shot.
Go 0 for 10.
No, you're going to shoot threes. You're going to
go 0 for 10. You got to look for score. That's
you got to go 0 for 10.
I'll
give you what that means.
You have to look to score.
All he has to do is watch Russell Westbrook.
Oh, Lord.
Because what happens is they back off you, right? So they back off Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook says, no, you know what? You back off me. I'm not just walking into it. I'm going to come at you full speed.
Looking to score.
Use my size. Right. However, that's what he could do. So now if he watches Russell Westbrook in the role that he has now become, he scores the same way. He gets into the lane and and scores and passes the same way. So if you want to be a scorer, all let's do is watch Russell Westbrook. Because he can do exactly what Russell does.
He's looking to pass now. He's overpassing. He has to look to score.
You can't.
Number one, not getting doubles, not getting.
You cannot score first, and you got to take more than 3 shots. Well, that's how you take more. That's my point.
No, but I'm saying though, like what I said before the game, I said, man, this is a great opportunity because the thing that's bad. When Kevin come back, he ain't gonna get those shots. Like he should have the second most shots on the team right now because his confidence, like he ain't gonna get to the playoffs and say, I'm gonna shoot it 10, 15 times now. You know, you build your confidence as a player. If he keep having these subpar games where he's averaging, you said he had a couple double-digit games. He's averaging 7 points a game. And Kenny.
Come on, man.
And Kenny, when he gets the rebound, listen, he's not a great jump shooter. We don't want you shooting threes, shooting jumpers. When you get that ball on that break, put your head down. If there's a seam, I want you attacking the
Like who?
Like he used to do 3 years ago.
Or the guy named Russell Westbrook.
Okay, but
I
don't
like you compare him to Russell because Russell's a Hall of Famer. In terms of the where he's scoring from in the game now. But now we're talking about young Russell. The way Russell Westbrook scores today is very similar to what Ben Simmons could do today.
How big of an effect does his struggling at the free throw line have on his
100%
willingness to go
100% because he's scared,
because he's a 41% free throw shooter.
But Ernie,
and you saw it tonight. I mean, that play where he
go back
was right there and had a chance to lay it in and pass it.
No. You don't know if he's scared to get. You don't even.
That he doesn't want to go to the line.
Hold on for a second. We don't have to go to this play tonight. Ernie, when did all this start?
Oh, I know it happened in the playoffs against the Hawks.
And he's never been the same since then.
Yeah.
He's afraid to get fouled, and he does it like.
You think that's the case?
Yeah. No. Shaq wasn't a great free throw. Yeah. But it ain't the same.
Scared to get fouled.
But let me tell you something. Just cause Shaq is Shaq. And I tell you the one guy who's always impressed me.
Who's that?
That boy in Milwaukee.
Giannis?
He don't give a damn how many he missed. Mm-hmm. He don't care.
I 100% concur with them. But I have some questions because there's some people out there that's still on the side of babying Ben Simmons. So I have some questions for you. Is Ben Simmons a great player or is he not? I'm trying to understand this. Is Ben Simmons worth the headache or isn't he? Because if Ben Simmons is in fact a great player, then we have every single right to expect more from him. If he's not, then I can understand people saying, hey, wait a minute, you're asking a little bit too much for him. That's the first question. The second question is this: Are we going to have Are we allowed to have expectations of Ben Simmons or not? Are we allowed to have expectations from Ben Simmons or not? What I have figured out is simply this: Ben Simmons supporters, basically what they're doing is they want people to accept the very bare minimum from him. That's essentially what they want. They'll look at that box score and say, well, let's look at his numbers here. He finished the game with 13 assists, 9 rebounds and 2 steals and 1 block. And they'll say, that should be enough. That should be enough. What more do you want from him? What more do you want? And they're like, but he went 0-3 from the field. He didn't attempt any field goals. He attempted less than 1 shot per quarter, and he finished with 0 points. We expect him to have more. And they're like, no. Let's look at all the other things that he did well. Let's not pay attention to the fact that he scored 0 points in an NBA game, and he basically attempted 0 shots. To these people, they don't like it when you expect just a little bit more from him. But everybody else, we got to have expectations for them. Whenever everybody else performs poorly, we're talking about marquee names, They're supposed to be held accountable. When it comes to Ben Simmons, all of a sudden, we now have to augment reality and look at it in a particular way that allows us to make excuses for him. That's essentially what's happening here with Ben Simmons. Why don't we give every other NBA player this same benefit of the doubt? Why is it that we ask every other NBA player to improve except him? Which brings me back to Ben Simmons' lack of production over the years. And as a matter of fact, Ben Simmons has been regressing. Let me just give you his numbers over the last 3 seasons. In 2019-2020 season, he averaged 16 points per game. 16 points. He shot 58% from the field. Of course, he shot 28.6% from 3, but Ben Simmons has only made 5 3-pointers in his NBA career. That is essentially 1 3-pointer a season. In this modern NBA, this guy's made 5 3-pointers in almost 5 seasons. I digress. He shot 62% from the field. He got you 8 assists, 7.8 rebounds, and and 2.1 steals. The next year after that, scoring went down to 54%. Field goal shooting went down to 55%. Of course, he shot 30% from the 3. He must have made 1 or something like this, because he's saying he made 0.1 and attempted 0.2. He shot 61% from the free throw line. His rebounds went down to 7.2. Scoring assists went down to 6.9. This season, Ben Simmons is averaging. This is a former All-NBA player, if I'm not mistaken, or All-Defensive NBA player, and I think he's an All-Star. Ben Simmons in 31 games is averaging 7.5 points per game. Ben Simmons on the season is attempting a career low 5.9 shots per game. Last year, he was attempting 10. He's shooting 58%. Some people are like, that's fantastic. You're shooting 58% on 6 shots per game. So all you got to do is make 3 of them. Of course, he's shooting 0% from the 3. He's shooting 41% from the free throw line. That is a career low. That is the lowest he has shot in 3 seasons. He's getting you 6.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 2.1 turnovers, and 1.5 steals per game. Now let me tell you what will happen when a Ben Simmons supporter gets a whiff of what I just said. You got dweebs out there that call themselves basketball savants. They can teach basketball for a living. Oh, I can teach you this. So why aren't you a coach? Why aren't you coaching? Why aren't you teaching basketball at some academy? Why aren't you teaching basketball at a high school or at a college or in the NBA? But they want to tell you about basketball. What they're going to do is this. You have these very few people out there that don't want to address the obvious issue, which is Ben Simmons is not aggressive and he's not improving. As a matter of fact, he's regressing. What they'll do is they'll go through a bunch of his highlights, pick 1 or 2 or 3 shots of him scoring, and then tell you, look, you're saying he can't score, but look at him score, forgetting that we're not as stupid as they are, that we can read a stat sheet. Forgetting that we can look at his overall stats. Ben Simmons is not improving. Spare us with your nonsense. You're saying BS nonsense. It's like in Africa, they have the rainy season, right? They have the rainy season, which means it rains 4 months at a time, 5-6 months or whatever it is at a time. It's then like having one joker go outside and say, hey man, since I've been outside the last 30 minutes, it's not raining. That means it's not rainy season no more. Are you crazy? Just because you can pull up 2, 3, 4 highlights of this guy making baskets does not mean he's a scorer, because we can go look at the evidence. They're 100% correct to critique him. And let me just say this. They're not talking about Ben Simmons as a human being. They're talking about him from a basketball standpoint, and their criticism is 100% within bounds. They're not saying anything personal about him or his character. They're talking about his basketball game. That is 100% fair. To me, as I said before, I'm going to say it again, Ben Simmons is wasting everybody's time. Y'all can love it and let him twerk it up for y'all. I'm not interested in it. And if you listen, they mentioned Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is the absolute antithesis of what Ben Simmons is. Why? Because Giannis, although he's not as refined as a Kevin Durant, as a Damian Lillard, as a Stephen Curry, as a Kawhi or whoever else, Paul George, or whoever else it is, Giannis is still going to try to improve. He's still going to attempt to score. And the more you attempt and you put in more work, obviously, you're going to gain more results. But when you don't attempt anything, what are you going to achieve? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. But in these guys' reality, nothing ventured, still something gained. And what they'll do is they'll point to a winning streak and say, well, look at all of these games that we're winning. Obviously, he was doing something right. The question is he doing all that he can do? And the answer is obviously no, which means that you're making excuses for him and you're babying him. Period. End of story. These are my thoughts and opinions on Ben Simmons. Whatever you guys, if y'all into him, y'all go ahead. Don't waste my time with Ben Simmons. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next episode. Peace.